Welcome to the channel. My name is Oblivion, and these are the top 10 skills I want from the Fire Emblem franchise introduced into Fae. Let's jump right in. Number 10. Paragon. Introduced in Genealogy of the Holy War, Paragon is a simple but powerful skill that allowed characters to gain double experience while in battle, allowing units such as Lex and Sarah to quickly gain levels and become powerhouse units. In Fae, we have skills that act like Paragon, such as Axe Experience 3, and also skills that increase our skill point gain, like Axe Valor 3. The problem with these skills are they are quite limited. Many of them are locked to 5-star units, and more importantly, they only affect one weapon type. So you need to have a unit with each type of Valor or Experience skill to gain the benefit for your whole barracks. Paragon 3 would solve this problem. Paragon 3, a C skill, would be inheritable to all units, and would have the effect, while the unit lives, all allies gain 4 times SP and 2 times experience. This skill would allow summoners to train their units whenever they want, and much more efficiently. Number 9. Life Taker. Life Taker is a unique skill that was introduced in Awakening and later appeared in future games. Typically, the skill is unlocked by classes with ties to the dark arts, such as the Dark Knight or the Dark Bishop, but in Echoes it was unlocked via the weapon skill of Shadow Sword or the Devil Axe. In those games, it can act as a powerful recovery skill, allowing units to keep fighting through the most difficult of fights. My version of Life Taker for Fae would act a bit differently, but still be similar to other games. Life Taker 3, a tier 4 B skill, will reduce damage the unit takes from attacks during combat and from area of effect specials by 20%. If the unit defeats an enemy, they restore 30% of their max HP. The idea behind this iteration is that it would offer units powerful healing but at the cost of their most versatile skill slot. Life Taker 3 would be half as powerful as other damage reducing skills such as Spurn or Repel, but would also not require a stat check and more importantly offer healing. Number 8. Resolve. Resolve was a powerful skill introduced in Path of Radiance. It allowed the user to increase their strength, speed, and skill by 50% when its user was half of their maximum HP. In Path of Radiance, this allowed for some fun and crazy skill combinations such as Wrath and Resolve Ike, which allowed him to destroy the endgame. Possibly due to this, Resolve was nerfed in Radiant Dawn, where it would no longer provide the strength boost. In Fae, Resolve would be a tier 4 A skill that upgrades from any tier 3 Brazen skill. It would give the following benefit. At start of combat, if unit's HP is equal to or less than 80%, grants attack, speed, defense, and resistance plus 7 during combat. Resolve would act as the ultimate stat booster for units who like to play at lower health. But unlike tier 4 Brazen skills, it would affect all stats instead of just 2. Number 7. Cancel. Cancel was a skill introduced in Gaiden and acted as the base skill of Jeddah and Duma. Cancel is a powerful skill that would allow units to become monstrous tanks, and in the case of Duma, force Alm to finish him off with Falchion. In Fire Emblem Heroes, there are several defensive specials such as Pavis or Aegis, but I thought it would be fun to have another powerful one such as Miracle. In Fae's version, Cancel would reduce damage to 0 on foes' next attack, but in return for such a powerful effect, it wouldn't be able to be reduced by any means, so skills like Infantry Pulse, Times Pulse, or even Ostius Pulse would have no effect on Cancel's special cooldown reduction. Number 6. Lethality. Lethality is the signature skill of assassins in Fire Emblem. Introduced in Blazing Blade, Lethality, then known as Silencer, was a powerful ability that allowed assassins to one-shot their opponents. In Blazing Blade, Jafar introduced me to this insane skill, which helped him live up to his epithet of the Angel of Death. In Fire Emblem Heroes, Lethality would be a 5-charge special with the following effect. Before combat, this unit initiates, foe's HP is reduced to 1. This special cannot have its special cooldown reduced by any means. This special would only be inheritable by dagger units. Lethality would easily become an overpowered special, and so to ensure it has its drawbacks, I decided to make its special cooldown unable to be reduced. Even with that downside, Lethality could be a powerful and fun special to bring into the battle. Hopefully it could show up on a Jafar ult, just saying. Number 5. Form Shift. Form Shift, introduced in Radiant Dawn, was a powerful exclusive skill only available to Laguz royals, such as Tibarn, Nysala, or Canicus. This skill allowed its users to remain in their transformed beast state without any losses to their transformation gauge. The transformation gauge was a mechanic only found in the Tellius games. Essentially, it was a meteor that when it was full allowed beast units to transform, but when it became empty they reverted back to their human forms. It was an interesting mechanic, but could often be frustrating to manage. So Form Shift was an exceptionally powerful skill that made Royal Beasts some of the best units in the entire game. In Fire Emblem Heroes, Form Shift would be a C skill that is only inheritable by beast units. It would allow them to always transform at the beginning of the turn, even if they were adjacent to non-beast or non-dragon units. This skill would allow for beast to be used in many more teams instead of being tied down to dragon or beast comps. While the skill is powerful, it also takes the C skill, which can make the unit lose out on powerful skills like Rhine skills, smokes, or joint drives. Number 4. Wildheart. Wildheart is a skill introduced in Radiant Dawn. It was a skill similar to Form Shift, but inherently weaker. Like Form Shift, Wildheart would allow the beast unit to stay transformed throughout the map without having to worry about the transformation gauge, for the most part. The downside was that Wildheart reduced the stat bonus that beast units got while transformed. Typically, beast units would gain double their human stats while transformed, allowing them to be powerful units. But Wildheart would instead only grant the beast unit a 50% stat increase while transformed. In Fire Emblem Heroes, Wildheart would act quite differently than it did in Radiant Dawn. Wildheart would be a C skill that granted the following effect. Unit counts as a beast unit outside of combat, and also grants beast allies within 2 spaces attack and speed +4 during combat. Wildheart would allow non-beast and non-dragon units to not inhibit the transformation of beast units, essentially allowing for easier transformations for the beast units on your team, while also supporting them with additional stats. Number 3. Parity. Parity, a skill introduced in Path of Radiance, was an unusual skill that had minor value in Path of Radiance, but could be useful in Radiant Dawn. Parity negates both the player and enemies' support and terrain bonuses, as well as skills. This could be used to help in the final chapters of both games, where enemies tended to have skills, and could even help in the fight against Ashera. In Fire Emblem Heroes, Parity would be a powerful Tier 4 C skill that has the following effect. During combat, disable all in-combat stat buffs, such as drives. Parity would cancel out effects such as drives, in-combat stats granted by weapons, like the common +5 to all stats that have been stapled to recent weapons, or skills that gave massive stat buffs like Sturdy Impact or the new Ideal skills. They would all be nullified, though this skill would be weak to effects that reduce the unit's stats instead. This skill would work well with skills like Fury 4 or Fortified Defense Res 3 that give visible stats. Also with units who have weapons that don't rely on in-combat buffs. Number 2. Adept. Adept is well known as one of the most powerful skills in Fire Emblem Franchise. It was introduced in Genealogy of the Holy War and allows this unit to perform a consecutive attack. This is a procced ability that was typically based off the unit's speed stat, but in Path of Radiance it was actually based off the skill stat instead. In Fire Emblem Heroes, this effect is present, but it is tied to weapons such as Lewin's Forseti or Jill's Taurigan Axe. Adept would be a Tier 4 A skill with the following effect. If unit initiates combat, grants +4 attack and speed, and unit can make a follow-up attack before foe can counterattack. Adept would upgrade from Swift Sparrow 2 and only be inheritable by infantry and flying units. Number 1. Nihil. Nihil, an infamous skill introduced in Genealogy of the Holy War, has had a few iterations. In Genealogy of the Holy War, Nihil negated enemy critical attacks, sword skills, and even effective bonuses. It would reappear in Thracia, Path of Radiance, and Radiant Dawn, where it would instead simply negate all battle skills. This extremely powerful effect would destroy units who rely on activated skills to win fights, and often turn battles into bouts of pure strength and endurance. Nihil was first introduced on characters such as Ira, Deirdre, or even Seliph, but for me it will always be the skill Ike received when he promoted to Vanguard in Radiant Dawn. This skill allowed Ike to face up against Ashera in the final battle and negate her powerful barrier that reflected damage. It also allowed for the most epic 1v1 versus Zelgius, who also wielded Nihil. In Fire Emblem Heroes, Nihil would be a preference B skill with the following effect. Neutralizes effects that guarantee foes' follow-up attacks, or prevents units' follow-up attacks during combat. Neutralizes units' penalties during combat and foes' bonuses from skills like Fortify, Rally, etc. And disables units and foes' skills that change attack priority. Truly a ridiculously powerful preference skill that contains null follow-up, penalty negation, dull everything, and hardy bearing. A skill that would live up to its history as one that disabled all nonsense and allowed for a truly epic showdown. A preference skill that could stand head to head with other ridiculous preference skills such as Armored Wall or Moonlight Bangle. If you haven't guessed it yet, this skill would belong to the one and only duo Ike, who would have Zelgius as his partner. If you watched the entire video, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe, and if you want to see more of my content, I do Eat the Raid videos daily, summoning videos almost every banner, and team showcase videos on awesome strategies like Beast Force. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch everyone later.